Solutions is a balanced staffing company developed by a group of professionals with an experience of over 18 plus years in staffing solutions. With years of quality and committed high-end application development and staffing experience, we have become experts at delivering the right fit, the first time. We will be glad to be your last stop and provide you with the perfect solution to your requirements. Follow Scholar IT Solutions LinkedIn page. For more updates, follow our social media pages.
So yeah, Scholar IT, you know about them. I mean, they're a group of individuals. They have come together to create a world-class platform. So please make use of it. All the links are given by. So backup recovery, any database. So Postgres is a relational database. It's an RDBMS. So any database that is there in the market, backup and recovery is a very important component of it. So if you want to learn database, if you want to be an administrator of database, you should know how to do backup, how to do recovery. You should know how to schedule backups, or what should be the backup design, what should be the architecture, everything you should know. Okay, so Postgres again is the same concept how it is in Oracle. If you are from an Oracle background, there are two types of backup in Postgres. One is logical backup and one is physical backup. So can anybody of you tell me what is the difference between logical backup and physical backup? Nagesh, I couldn't hear much of it, but I think what you said is right. So logical backup is nothing but when you take the database backup while logging into the database, it's an online backup. I am logging into the database, I am taking the backup of the database. That's my logical backup. Physical backup is nothing but I take the backup of the files, my database files. So if you have your Oracle files, right? So you will have Oracle DBF files. So you take the backup of those files, right? So that is your physical backup. So both the ways you can take the backup. Basically, when you clone, right, from one machine to another machine, you can always take a physical backup, move the files there. That's what we do most of the time in Oracle. Okay. So today we are not going to look at physical backup. I'm going to just look at the logical backup. Give you a couple of examples, show you how it is done, and also take questions if you guys have any. So I have a EC2 machine here. I have my Postgres installed in this. So I'm just going to log into Postgres. So now I'm into the prompts. If I go to PSQL, I can log into the Postgres. So now I'm into Postgres database. Okay, so Postgres is a relational database. You can use your SQL language to query the database, or there are shortcuts available, right? I am a big fan of Postgres shortcuts, so I'm going to use them. So if I do /l, I can list the databases that I have. So you can see I have 6 databases, 3 and 3. So 3 databases. These are the last 3 databases that come by default when you install Postgres, and these are my created databases. Okay, so how this come, what will happen, you might have to if you need those things, we can have a session where I can show you installation and all those things. But yeah, so right now I have these databases, and all of these databases under one installation. It's a cluster. The cluster in Postgres is nothing but group of databases. Okay, so I'm going to play around with these databases and show you how to take backup and what to do, how to recovery and all those things. Okay. So see, another good thing is if I want to look at the size, right, of these databases, I don't have to write any fancy SQL command. I can just do /l plus. So you can see, I can see the size of the databases as well, right? So each database is very small. I have nothing much in the DBs, but I can figure out the size of the databases from here. Okay, so my DB1 is 7, around 8 MB. All of these are around 8 MBs. 1, 2, 3. So these are very good shortcuts. So if you are new to Postgres, always try to learn shortcuts because that gives you an advantage over anybody who doesn't know that. So now, basically, Postgres is a file system level database. So I don't have to worry about anything in Postgres, but I just need to make sure I have a path, I have a place where my backups are kept. Okay, so what I can do is I can create a folder which will be destined to take the paths, right? So what I am in the home directory. This is my home directory. So I will just create a backup directory, backup _1 or backup 1. Consider that. So basically, because I already have a backup directory, so that's why I'm creating backup 1. You can create any directory, any name. So this directory is where I will host all my backups. I will put all my backups in. So if I go to backup 1, so this would be my full path always, right? So this is where my backups will be kept. Wherever we take the backup, all of these backup will be kept in this path. Okay. So yeah, logical backup. If I want to take logical backup in Postgres, Postgres comes with a lot of utilities. So there is a utility called pg_dump that is used to take logical backups. Okay. So for physical also, you're going to use something like that, but we are not going to talk about that right now. Okay. So pg_dump, it comes with the installation. So if I want to show you that, you will have the bin folder under your home directory. So opt pg10 is my home directory. Inside that I have bin, right? So I have all the executables here. So you can see pg_dump is here, right? So pg_dump is a utility that comes with the installation. I don't have to worry about install anything extra to the backup. Okay. I have my environment variable set. So I don't have to worry and run the commands from the bin. I can run it from anywhere. If you don't have your environment variable set, you have to come to the bin, then run // Okay, how we run any executables, but I don't have that problem. Okay, so now I'm ready to take the backup. I will identify one database. Let's consider DB1. Okay, so let's take the backup of DB1. Before I execute commands, do you guys have any questions till now about the environment? Okay, great, no problem. So now I've identified a database DB1 that I'm going to take the backup. I have my path where the backup will reside. So simple commands I will run. Those commands are here with me. This is just to make you know. See, when I take the backup, so logical backup, there are two ways I can take it. Either one way is I can take a backup as a SQL file, .SQL backup, and one is a .dmp backup. Okay, so Postgres allows me to take backup in two ways. One is .SQL backup. Whenever I take the backup, I can create a .SQL file. Okay, or whenever I take a backup, I can create a .dmp file. So what is the advantage of both these files and when to use when? We will see that. Okay, I will tell you that. So first of all, I'm going to talk about .SQL. So when I am going to create a backup and take a backup and create a .SQL file for myself. Okay, so the syntax is very simple. You need to run pg_dump. You need to take the name of the database which you want to take the backup. In our case, it is DB1, and you need to use this arrow and just put the path and the file name. You can take any file name. The path should be proper. This is where once you take the backup is done, it will go and save it here. So let's run that, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take I'll say pg_dump. Then I'm going to take the name of the database, that is DB1, as I said, right? And I'm going to give the file name. So my path would be the backup directory that I created, right? So it is under opt pg10 backup 1. And then I'm going to get some names. So, I should give a meaningful name because I will take all my backups in the same directory. So I will just give db1 bkp.sql. Okay, so as I said, I'm going to create a backup in the SQL form. So I'm doing that. So simple command pg_dump, name of the database, and the path where you want to take the backup, right? Enter, done. It has come very fast because it's a very small database. So if you have a bigger database, it's going to take time. So mine is only 8 MB. I have not much in that because it's just a demo. So I don't want to take some time out of there. That's why it's come out very fast, right? Now let's go to the path and see what it just created, right? So cd opt pg10 and backup 1, right? So you can see here there is a file created. You can see db1 bkp.sql. It's a SQL file. It has some size. The advantage, right? So if I create a SQL file as a backup, I can open it and read it. Okay, that's the advantage of creating a SQL file. For .dmp file, I can't do that, but for SQL files, I can do that, right? So if I am creating that, I can just open it and read it and see what it has taken. So I can just read more Okay. So you can see right here, it says that it's a database dump, Postgres database dump. It tells me what the version, what database I am using, 10.12. Right, some default where it takes some of the defaults that are available. Then it takes something else that I have done. So if you can see, I have not much. I have sent my default table space. I have created one table. So it has take basically when you take a .SQL backup, it will recreate, right? Or for all the objects, it will recreate sequels. Okay, so that's how it does. So I have created a table that is it has taken that. Then the owner is what the owner of the table is, and then it is also copying the data from the table. Okay, so copy command is used to copy the data. Basically, that's it. There is only one table. Yeah, so that's what it's doing. If you have 100 tables, it has to create all the commands in the SQL form and take a backup. Okay, so this is what my .SQL backup is. Before I move forward, any questions, anybody? Okay.
Ankit, what if my database is bigger in size? This
Yeah.
file will be also based on that. I mean, if it is
Obviously. So if I have 100 tables, so it has to create the command, right, for each table. So the file will be based on that, right?
so is this a feasible approach
No.
for that?
Yeah. That's right. So that's a good question. So there is a way where you have to take a call, right? So what I would do generally is if it's a small database, I will go with .SQL. But if the database is little bigger, I will always go for .dmp. Okay. So again, that's the call that you need to take. But if the database goes beyond a one gig or 2 gig, I will go for DMP. If you go directly for DMP, there is no problem. Okay, you can always choose to go with DMP backups. There is no problem. But as an administrator, you should know that there is a possibility of taking .SQL backups as well.
And other thing is he has to re-execute those things, right? I mean, suppose database is bigger. When I'll be taking this backup as a SQL file, I'll have
Mhm.
to, if I want to clone it somewhere else in a lower environment, then I'll have to
Mhm.
execute. So it may take time, right? Based on the
Yeah,
size of
yeah.
the file. Yeah.
So basically, it will have to execute each and every SQL. Okay. After that, if you have data in the table, it will insert that data. So that's what it's gonna do. So you're
I
exactly
mean, why
right.
I'm
So
asking this because
Mhm.
I mean, sorry for, but I'm also from Oracle background, so export import has its own way of doing the same thing, but in a better way, I would say. And
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
in
yeah. So when
Oracle
you take
export
a
import,
dump,
yeah.
right?
So,
So that is what export import is basically.
okay, okay,
Okay,
okay,
in
yeah.
Postgres. Okay, so that is what it is. So yeah, definitely dump is obviously faster. Okay, so I would always recommend doing a dump if the database size is a big one. Okay.
And is this everything available in Google Cloud SQL as well? GCP Cloud
What do you mean
SQL
by
database? I mean, if it is a cloud SQL database or it's a cloud hosted data, not hosted, the SaaS service, suppose say RDS or Cloud SQL in GCP or RDS in Amazon.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
same
Database
thing will be
remains the same,
available.
right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Database remains the same. It's Aurora Postgres
Okay.
or it is
Yeah.
uh, Postgres hosted on
So it's
GCP,
available.
Amazon Cloud. Yeah, yeah, everything. The database ingredient doesn't change. It's only the infra that changes. Correct.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
The source code
And
of the database will always remain same.
okay. And this will whatever it is doing at that point of time only. Suppose you are taking at 9 p.m. So it will
Mhm.
be data at 9 p.m. only.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
is this consistent? I mean,
Yeah, it's
it won't
consistent. So
face
you
any
need to
issues.
read about MVCC for that. Okay, multi version concurrency control.
Okay,
So
okay.
Postgres follows that. So whenever I run the command, right, but what time it will create a snapshot of what is existing and take the backup of that only. That's how consistency is maintained in MVCC type of databases.
Okay, sure,
So
Ankit.
even when you are taking the backup and somebody is doing an insert on a table, those data won't come because the command was fired before only. Okay.
Yes, Ankit.
So yeah. So I mean, so we talk about MVCC. We have spoken about it in our previous sessions. So, but yeah, you can read through that so you understand it. Okay.
Sure, Ankit,
So yeah,
I'll
but,
go
I
through
mean,
it.
on hindsight, yeah, these are consistent backups. Any online backup are consistent backups, but there is a way why they're consistent. So the reason for that in Postgres is it's MVCC compliant. Okay. Yeah. Good. Anybody else has any other questions?
Hi Ankit, this is Mukhtar. Actually, I am a Oracle DBA. Just I want to know
Yeah.
that in Oracle that we can take object level backup. In Postgre that
Yeah.
we can take object level backup as well.
Yes. Yes. You can take object level backup. You can take one table backup as well, one schema backup as well. So those things you can. There is an option to do that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
No problem. Right. So great. If nobody has any questions, I'll move forward. So now I have a backup done with .SQL. See, another thing that you need to remember is if you take a .SQL backup, there is a way to restore it, and the restoration will always happen with pSQL. Whenever a .SQL backup is taken, the restoration command is pSQL. You can't restore it with any other command. Okay, so pSQL is the utility through which you have to restore it. So what I'm going to do is I'm quickly restore it. So I have already taken the backup. Now what I'm going to do is I'll just restore it. So I'll create another database and I'll try to restore on top of that. Okay. So let me go to my pSQL. Okay. Just a moment. I think I lost my connection. Give me a moment. I'll bring it up. Okay. Let's see if it's up. Yeah. Okay. So I had already taken the backup. So I'm going to go to my database and restore it on a different database. Okay. So I'll just create another database. So maybe create database. So those who don't know, it's very easy to create database. So I was creating a database, maybe DB5, consider like that. So database is created. So I'll do a /l. You can see DB5 is there. If I want to look at the size for that, so L plus. So you can see L plus. So you can see the data size of DB5 is okay. It is also 7911. On my DB1 is also 7911. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to restore it over the top of it. So for that, the command is I'll go to I'll go to my prompt. So when you restore it, right? So you just need to make sure that you just give the name correctly. So if you see pSQL -d, so what is the name of the database on which you want to restore and the file? That's it. Okay. So basically pSQL -d is the database name on which you want to restore it. So that can be different, right? Any name you can use. So I'm going to use pSQL -d database name that on which I want to restore is DB5. Okay. And then you have to give the file name. Basically, you have to tell them from which file it has to restore it. So for us, the file that we created was opt pg10 backup 1, and there was only one this file, right? So I am restoring it on DB5. If you want to restore on DB2 or DB3, just give DB2 there. -d is mandatory. Basically, that is for the option of database. -f is the file name, right? So you have to give that. Enter. See, you can see it has ran those commands and then it says that it is done. Okay, so all of those commands are ran. Now my DB5 is basically restored. The backup is restored on DB5. So if I log into DB5, I can see one table that was there, test1. Okay, so basically that's how you restore a .SQL. So you can log in basically it came with the same size, but we can see that /l plus. So my db5 is here. I can log into db5 and check, but now I'm not going to check that because I did not get any errors while restoring. Okay, so this is how you restore. The two mandatory things that is -d, that you have to give the database on which the restoration will happen, and using which file. So these are the two things that you have to give. Okay, it's very simple. You can restore it to another server also, right? If you are Postgres is running on a different server, you can move that SQL file there and then use it for your advantage to restore it. Okay, so this is one way to take backup and restore, right?
Hi, Ankit. I have one doubt
Yeah.
here. Okay,
Yeah.
this is SQL file, right? Okay.
Mhm.
Suppose in case of dump, what about the restoration at higher levels?
Yeah, I have
where-
not reached dump yet, right? I have not reached dump yet.
Yes,
I'll
yes.
go through that.
Okay then.
Yeah, so next is dump. So before, I mean, anybody has any questions till now, they can ask. So see, use SQL for your smaller databases. If you have test development databases, you can use SQL. Okay, if you want to look at whether it is creating the objects correctly, use SQL. Okay, so that is where I use it. You can also use it. So this is one way. The other way, right, that you can do it is through dump. So again, the method is exactly same. There is no change. There is no changes when you take the backup. So taking backup remains exactly the same. I am going to use pg_dump utility again, and it is basically same. Just from instead of .sql, I'll just give .dmp. That's it. Okay. So I'll come out of here. For the .dmp, remember we can't open .dmp files. So you don't try to open .dmp files how we open .sql, right? There's a chance that will get corrupt. See, pgdump has a lot of options available. You can use them to your advantage, right? So if I want to know what options are there, so I can do pgdump --help. So you can see whenever I take the dump, I can use all of them to my advantage. Somebody was asking, right? I can take only the data only. I can take backup in various formats. So if I have to do that, I have to use -f for that. You can see this one, right? If you want to take in a custom format, if you want to take in a tar format, so you give ft, right? If you want to take in a plain format, you give fp. So it's a big database, right? Always you want to take in tar and compress it. So you have to give bigger Z for compression so that it takes minimal space on the file system level. So all these options are available. So I'll use it to your advantage. In my example, I'm using -fc. This is my example, right? So -fc means I am using the format, and C is custom, right? So I'm just using a custom because I have a small database, so I'm not worried about tarring and all those things. But if you want to tar it, you instead of fc, you want to use ft. Okay, and it should be a small one because bigger T has some other meaning. Okay, so you do. So what I would say is, whenever somebody comes with a request that I want to take the backup in Postgres with certain complexities, right? Every possibility is there in Postgres. So don't say no. You have to explore it. You have to explore what options you get in pgdump, right? You can exclude tables, you can include tables, you can exclude schemas, you can do a lot of things you can exclude privileges, you can include just schema, you can include certain table, certain columns, certain those things are also there. So you can always look for combinations of that. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just take a simple backup. I'm going to run pgdump, so -fc. Again, what database I want to take the backup, right? So database and the file path, that's it. Simple. So pg_dump. I'm going to give -fc as the format, small c basically, and then give the database name. So my database, I'm just again going to take the db1 backup, right? And the path. So my path was /opt/pg10/backup1, right? And I'll give the name. So maybe db1 bkp.dmp, right? So previously I gave .sql. I'm giving .dmp. That's the only difference with the taking the backup. That's it. And some of the other options available. If you want to exclude a table space, you can do that. If you want to exclude a table, you can do that. So those options are available. So you have to explore pgdump for that. Enter. It comes out instantaneously because it's a there is nothing in the database. That's why it comes out very fast. Okay, but that won't happen if it's a big database, right? So I'll just go to that path and see. Okay, so you can see there is another dump, right? DMP, and it's based little bit more, it has a lot of other options, like create database commands will also be there basically inside in its own way. So that's why the size is bigger. So now I have a DMP file. Okay, before I move to the restoration of show an example, anybody has questions till now? Okay, no problem. Now the difference comes here is if I have a DMP file, right, the restoration will happen using pg_restore. Okay, you can't restore it with any other utility. So there is how pg_dump, there is a utility. There is another utility called pg_restore. So whenever there is a dump file, the restoration will happen through pg_. It's like export import, expdp, right? expdp and impdp. So pg_dump is like expdp, pg_restore is like impdp. Okay, so if I want to restore it, I have to use pg_restore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the database db1 and restore it from the backup. Okay, so that's basically what I'm going to do. You can do a restoration on some other server as well, ideally. I don't have another server, so I'll just restore it here only. Okay, so I'll go to my database /l, just drop db1, right? Drop database. It's very simple to drop a database. So drop database db1. Okay, so now there is no database db1. So I'm just going to restore it from my previous backup. So for that, I have to run a restoration command. So pg_restore command, right? So see pg_restore, then there are options available. So -c says that I want to create the database because I don't have the database, right? So I'll see -c, big C. That means I have to create the database. Then I have to tell them with which owner the database should be created, right? So I'm giving that as Postgres. I don't have to give the name because the name already exists in my dump file. Okay, so that's why I'm not giving the name. So you will see that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the command pg_restore. -c is for creating the database. -d is telling, okay, who's the owner. Then the file name, right? What file you want to use it. In PSQL, if you remember, we gave -f. Here we don't have to give that. So I'm just going to give the name directly. So that's it. Like this. Do it. It's /opt /pg10/backup1 and /db1. Sorry, db1 bkp.d, right? So this is my file. Basically, I'm telling to restore it, create the database because I don't have the database. -d is the user which will be owning the database. You can see every database is owned by a user here, right? So all of these are owned by Postgres and one is owned by you too, correct? So then enter. Done. Okay, it's done because again it's a small database. If I go back and check /l plus or /l, so you can see db1 has come back, right? It's owned by Postgres. You can see the size also as well. You can just check it. What's the size of it? It was 7911 previously and it's 7911 now. So it has restored it. I have not given the database name because it will fail saying that I have a create database command saying that db1. If you give the database name, it will fail. So you can't restore over top of an existing database. That is not possible. You can clean the database. So if you have a db1 already available and you want to clean it and put a new copy, you can do that. So for cleaning, it's small c. Okay, for creating, it's bigger C. Okay, so that options are available in pg_dump. Just go to help and look at it. So this is a very simple example. There are a lot of things that you can do with backup recovery, but these are simple examples, right? This gives you a hint that it's very easy. So only two, basically only two utilities you use to take the backup and recovery. Yeah. So yeah, I'm open to questions till now that we have seen. You can ask if you have any.
So in PG restore also, do we have explode options? Right? Like
PG
from
restore.
like
Yeah,
we have in Oracle, right?
I
100
mean, you have
tables we
help
can.
in the in PG restore
Oh,
also.
okay. Yes.
Okay, you can always go and check for a
Right.
lot of other options like it. Sorry.
Yes, they're open.
Okay, see. So you have these options. While restoring, you can always give what you want to do, what you want to do, not do. Okay.
Yes.
So you can,
And
if
I
you
have
want to
one
just
more.
restore data.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
data only. Yeah. So when you run the PSQL, so it is connecting to which database, and it is showing I/L all
It's
databases.
yeah, it will connect to the default database, that is Postgres database.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So when I do when I do PSQL, you see a prompt at the side, right? This is the prompt, correct? So that means it's connected to the Postgres database, this database. When I do
Okay, thank you,
PSQL, it comes and gets connected to Postgres database by default. That's a default database.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Right. Yeah. Anybody has any other questions? Yeah, somebody was asking about point in time recovery or something. Last question.
Yes, Ankit.
Yeah.
I mean,
Import to
yeah.
lower version or higher version.
I did not understand. Can you repeat the question?
So how to import to lower version and higher version?
So there is no backport compatibility, I guess. You can always do from lower to higher. That's not a problem. Okay, so I can take the backup of a lower version and restore it in a higher version. I can do that. That is possible.
So is there any special parameter or by default it will take
No,
it?
it will by default take it.
Okay.
No special parameters. Right.
Dump we are taking, but we are not safe with the point in time, right? Okay, suppose we are taking at 9 p.m. and if I want to restore at 9:30.
Yeah. So that doesn't happen with dump, right? You have your archive logs for that. Correct. In Oracle as well.
Can I? Yeah. Can I? So once a dump is restored, can I apply archive on top of that?
Yeah, you can do that. Yes. So it's basically an asset compliant database, right? How it works in Oracle.
Yes.
So you have your archive logs. You can apply on top of that. So once my database is available, I can apply archive logs. No, they are called wall logs in Postgres.
Logs, yes.
Okay.
But once it is restored from a dump, now how will I apply my wall log?
So you should know, right? So for example, you if you are restoring from last 2 days backup, so you should have those archives available with you. Then only you can apply. So basically,
I mean, how will I get to know the number of? Which number? I mean, what is the actual LSN?
how do you
Sort of
get to know
LSN?
that in Oracle database?
Using that, we get that archive number from where? I mean,
Same
timestamp,
way.
whatever. Yeah.
So same way.
Okay, we can
Same
find
way.
out that. Okay.
Yeah. Concept exactly is the same. Only thing is there are no groups and all in Postgres. Now you do log groups and everything, right? These though the here in Postgres is normal files. One file, two files. The number of files will get created. That's it.
Okay.
That's the only concept. Okay, it's very simplified in Postgres. So basically, it's when you put the database in archive log, it's basically moving that files to another location as a backup. Wall files they are called. Okay, so it writes on in one file. Then when the file is full, it will write on another. It will create another file and start writing on that file. Okay.
Okay.
And if you have archive available, that the other file that was full, that would be copied into an archive location. Once there are 3 files available in the main location, in the main Wolf location, the first one will be removed because it's already archived. So that's how the concept here in Postgres.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. Right. So if nobody has any questions, I'm going to take one last, topic in the backup recovery. So there is something called as, you can take the, before moving, some examples, right? If I want to take backup of only one table, right? Somebody asked me, so I have to give, so PG dump and DB1 I was giving for the database name, but if I want to take the backup of only in table, I have to go to -t and that table name. So when I run this command, right, it will only take the backup of one table, that is my tab, but it should know which database, right? So you have to give the database name here, right? Okay. Then if you want to take the backup of EMP schema, I would like EMP tables in S1 schema, right? The tables that start with EMP in the S1 schema. So you give -t s1.emp.star. But you want to exclude one table, that is EMP underscore history. So you have to give -bigger T. So bigger T is for exclusion and -t is for inclusion. So in this case, what will happen is all the tables which start with EMP under S1 schema, those will be backed up, but this table will be excluded from the backup from the DB1 database. Okay, so a lot of options are available like this. So you can just, so all the objects, you take backup of everything, but you don't want to take the backup of tables that start with TS underscore, right? So you just give -t, bigger T and TS underscore. So it will take backup of everything that is there in DB1 database, but it will exclude tables that start with TS underscore. So that for that is bigger T. So bigger T is for exclusion, smaller T is for inclusion. Okay. So these are the examples, some of them. Then the last is PG dump all. So there is another utility called PG dump all. So what happens with this is, if you want to take the entire cluster backup. So when I say cluster, right, I can create n number of databases in a cluster. Right now I have 6 databases, correct? If you look at here, right, if I go /L, you can see I have 4 and 3, 7 databases available. So if I want to take all of the backup in one shot, right, complete cluster backup, then that command is for PG dump all. So again, the same concept is the same. You can take a DMP file or .SQL file, whatever you want. It is like PG underscore dump all, and just give the name where you want to put the backup, because you don't have to specify a particular database. It's going to take the entire cluster backup, right? So just specify it. So opt PG10 BKP1, all DB backup, whatever name you want to give, you can give all DB BKP, maybe dots. Sorry, I think it has moved. Yeah, all DB BKP dot SQL. So it's gonna take a little bit more time. Just observe, right, when I run this. Oh, it has finished very fast. So that means this backup is also done. So I can open this file, but right, because I've taken a .SQL. So I can go here. This file is considerably larger in size, you can see that, but you can open this and see what is just taken. So it would have taken all the databases backup. So see, all the roles. If I move a little bit up, this way it's see cluster dump. All the roles backup it has taken. Then all the databases, see DB1, it is creating all the databases. So those backups, if there is a tablespace that's created, it's taking that backup also. So everything basically it will take backup of, and it is there as a SQL. So I can just take this and restore it and create another, create the same cluster on that side. So that is how you take the backup. And recovery, so recovery is restoration is again same. It's a .SQL, you use pSQL. If it is .dmp, you use PG underscore restore. Okay, so restoration is exactly, there is no difference between restoration. Only the dump and dump all. So that is the only difference. Okay. Yeah, I mean, so that's little bit about backup and restore. Like the main idea was to give you a hint or a feel of how easy it is. But yeah, there is more to it. There are more things that you can do. But basically, you're gonna look at PG dump all, and PG restoration for your logical backup. You don't have to look anything above and beyond that. So just run these commands, look at the sizes, take a SQL backup, restore it, try to see if it's working or not, do all those things. Okay, so that's all I had for today. But yeah, we have some time remaining, right? We can take some questions. So if you have any questions, generic question about Postgres, just let me know. If you are pretty new to the system, just connect with me if you want. I'm not sure if Karthik has put it on the LinkedIn or not, but you can always find me on LinkedIn. Just connect with me. Just connect with Karthik if you need to connect with me. He'll provide you the details and we can talk. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can
Yeah,
take some questions if you have. Yeah, go ahead.
Ankit, sorry, I joined a little bit late. I've seen this backup dump all and everything, but one question is like how to restore the data. The dump all only have the DDL statements, right?
No, it will have data as well.
Oh, okay.
It's
Because when
okay
I've seen the
because
.SQL file, it is only having the
yeah,
DDL, so just
no, it
confused.
will have something called as copy command. Okay, so could see this one. You see this one, right? Basically, this is for the data.
Oh, okay,
Okay,
got it.
so
Yeah.
copy is used to copy your data. So if there is any data, it will copy from using this command.
Okay. Thanks, Ankit.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you. So what about physical backup? What is the tool name to take the physical backup?
PG based backup. Tool name, see, there are a lot of tools available. You have Barman, Bart, all those tools are there. But the utility that is used is PG based backup. We can have another
PG
session
based.
maybe for a physical backup. We
Okay.
can do
Fine.
that. Yeah, but utility, if you want to learn yourself, you can just go ahead and learn PG underscore base backup.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Right. Anybody has any other questions? I hope the session was helpful. Yeah, if you have any other questions later, also just reach out to Karthik and he'll pass the questions to me, and I'll be happy to answer them later. Okay. Okay. Yeah, if there are no questions, we can close the session for today. Thank you so much, guys, for joining. I know it's people who are in India, it's late for you guys. I am also in India, so yeah, it's late for me as well. But yeah, thank you so much for joining, and keep joining sessions, whatever we have in future, and yeah, reach out if you have anything. Okay. Thanks, Karthik. I think that's it from my side. If you have anything, you can go ahead, or I'll close it. Karthik. Okay, thank you. See you later, guys. Bye.